This is an illustration by Ralph Steadman from American journalist Hunter S. Thompson's most well-known novel, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. The illustration mimics Thompson's gonzo style of writing. Thompson's lifelong career as a self-proclaimed outlaw is inspiring to those who want to make a name for themselves in a less than conventional way. Many interviews with Thompson and those who knew him provide insight into the life and works of the late great Hunter S. Thompson. Thompson did what came naturally to him, and in doing so made a name for himself amongst great American authors like Hemingway and Steinbeck. I will first tell you how Thompson got started writing, then the birth of gonzo journalism, and finally Thompson's effect on American culture. Thompson had an unconventional introduction into writing, according to an article in the New Yorker. He began by typing out pages from F. Scott Fitzgerald's The Great Gatsby to see what it might have been to write like that. In an interview with the Paris Review, Thompson said that he hadn't thought of writing as a solution to his problems, but he learned young that you had to find what you could do better than anybody else. And for Thompson, that was writing. His time writing for the Air Force led him to realize that he could make a name for himself as a journalist. Now that we've covered Thompson's introduction into writing, let's move on to the birth of gonzo journalism. Gonzo journalism is a form of writing that blends fact with hyperbole to illustrate the underlying reality of the situation, often from first-person point of view, and often including the reporter as a part of the story. This form of journalism got its start with the publication of Thompson's article, "The Kentucky Derby is Decadent and Depraved," published in 1970. Now that we've covered the beginnings of Thompson's career in journalism and the birth of gonzo journalism, finally we will continue on with Thompson's effect on American culture. According to the New York Times article, "Forever Weird," Thompson didn't want to become a parody of himself, but feared he lacked the guts to jump off the gravy train. However, according to those who interviewed him at the ParisReview.org, Thompson's career-long autopsy of the death of the American dream places him amongst the 20th century's most exciting writers. On the whole, Thompson made an interesting and lasting name for himself. Thompson had an unconventional introduction into writing, ended up with a career that he didn't expect but excelled at, and left the mood of American literature a little bit weirder. A particular quote from Thompson's novel Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas gives apt insight into Thompson's philosophy. He wrote, "No sympathy for the devil. Keep that in mind. Buy the ticket, take the ride, and if it occasionally gets a little heavier than you had in mind, well, maybe chalk it up to forced conscious expansion. Tune in, freak out, get beaten."